Week number 15 around the NFL starts on this Thursday night with an awesome short week Thursday night football game, a divisional duel between the two California teams squaring off today in the NFC West. It is the San Francisco 49ers at home in Santa Clara hosting the LA Rams. And now the number, DRS, at a flat 3. That field goal in favor of the 49ers. Total working its way up despite being a short week from 48 and a hook earlier this week to 49 and a half. Donnie, short week, Thursday night football game. But the implications, the ramifications of what this game means in the NFC West, you really have to put it into context, and it cannot be undersold. The Rams right now, a game back of the Seattle Seahawks after winning a wild and high-scoring game on Sunday at home over the Buffalo Bills. The Niners snapped a 3-game skid on Sunday at home against the Chicago Bears to hold on to just a little bit of life in the NFC West in their playoff outlook. There is the in-division rivalry, the in-state showdown, and, of course, the personal matchup between the two head coaches, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. How do you see Thursday night playing out in Santa Clara?
Well, first, I do agree with the line here. Some people, the 49ers haven't had a good season, and, the Rams look like they're hot right now. Fun team to watch and play. Once again, keep in mind, road Thursday night football, one of the toughest environments that you can have, and also both of these teams know each other, so we should get a good battle. The 49.5, first inclination, I say, it probably should go over, but once again, it's a short work week on two teams that know each other. Are there weapons all over the place? Yes, there are. But to get into the 50s on a Thursday, as we've seen so many times on primetime, maybe not the best effort. But the one thing I did like last week is we saw a glimpse of what we thought that 49ers are supposed to be. Not the team getting blown out in back-to-back performances, but Brock Purdy. What are we known for? Efficiency in the pocket, Ben. 20 of 25, 325, and 2 touchdown passes. Are the Bears the best team in the world at 4-9 now? No, they're not. But they do have a solid defense, and they absolutely carved them up. And the ability to say, my top 2 running backs are down. Isaac Guerendo's in, 15 for 78, 2 scores. Then he gets injured at the end of the game, but it still doesn't matter. They were runaway victors in that 38-13 game. And also, the Rams, you're looking at them now with the pressure on them coming into this game not so much on the 49ers. And you must say, Donnie, that's crazy. If the 49ers lose, they're out of it. They're still playing from that mindset of people have already written us off. Let's just try to surprise and get back into the race. Well, the Rams now are looking, we just knocked off the Buffalo Bills. We win this game. Now you have to worry about us making a playoff run and possibly winning this division. I do think we get a lot of excitement from a lot of star players, but just to start the conversation back off, Ben, I think that -2.5 to -3 is correct here. If you're asking me to pick a side in this game, I think it's the 49ers because home field advantage is key on a Thursday night, and you finally got a good taste back in your mouth of what that offense is supposed to do.
It's not a large trip for LA by any means, but Donnie, if this game was on a Sunday, even in Santa Clara, I would look to the Rams. With it being on a short week Thursday after the gauntlet in the high-scoring, intense affair they played on Sunday afternoon against Buffalo, it just complicates the matter in my estimation. I do think we will see some points. Will we get to 50 and over that total of 49.5 now? I'm not entirely sure, but from the spread and then trend perspective of where both of these teams enter Thursday night, San Francisco, 6-7 football team, a favorite in 11 of 13 games this year. All 6 outright wins as a favorite as well, as they did last week against Chicago. They cover the number. In fact, DRS, in their 6 wins this year, all of them as a favorite, they have covered 5 times. In all 5 covers, total to the over, San Francisco has scored at least 30 points. The Rams as the underdog, 3-4, both straight up and against the spread. If LA is going to cover a number, and now we see that flat field goal price tonight entering Thursday, they have won outright this year. So in all 3 outright wins or covers as an underdog, total also to the over. And there is the familiarity between these two teams, divisional foes in the same state. And of course, the head coaches know each other very well. The old pals of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Shanahan has dominated the series between these two. He is 10-6 against Sean McVay, but McVay and the Rams have won the last 2, including the opening meeting in week number 3 of this regular season. Donnie, let's get to the team comparison and what this game means, the importance of it on this Thursday night. Again, the Rams only a game behind Seattle. LA has beaten the Seahawks already this season. They will end the year at home against Seattle. Plus 160, the price to win the NFC West. The Seahawks, a slight odds-on favorite at minus 135. The price for San Francisco, despite snapping the 3-game slide, is not overly optimistic at this moment, Donnie. And the reason why is not just San Fran's 6-7 overall record, it's the 49ers mark in the NFC West. They are 1-3. They have lost to all 3 divisional opponents this year. That is a very uphill climb to make for San Francisco to contend for a divisional title.
No, you're right about it. And if you look at even the remaining parts of the schedule outside of the game against the Rams, which will be a tough one, you go on the road against the Dolphins, fighting for their playoff lives as well. And then you take on the Detroit Lions. It is at home, but still Detroit probably looking for that number 1 seed. They'll still be playing hard in that football game, obviously. And then to end the season, maybe the Cardinals still think they're somewhat in it at that point in some tie-breaking situations. You got a long way to go. So I understand that whole theory. You got to play each football game it is. You can't win 4 games in one. I get it. But the 49ers, no doubt in my mind, they lose this football game tonight, Ben. They're out of it in the NFC West because that would drop them. That divisional record's terrible. They'll lose just about every tiebreakers. And then go, okay, to have any chance, everybody has to lose, and you must run the table against 3 teams trying to make the playoffs already with a football team that doesn't have a great record in the 49ers. That would be a wrap at that point. So it feels like, Ben, a last stand effort tonight for San Francisco for one final push down the home stretch.
And for both of these teams, even the Rams, who are a game above 500, Donnie, the best path to a playoff spot is more than likely win the NFC West. LA's price to make the postseason, plus 156. Their number to win the division, plus 160, because it's an 8-5 Commanders team that is in the final spot to earn that wild card berth to the NFC postseason. It's the same as Seattle right now in the NFC West. Let's see more from Thursday night up next. The prop perspective for Thursday night football to kick off week number 15. Tonight in Santa Clara, a huge divisional duel between the 49ers and the Rams. Let's look at those 2 signal callers. Donnie, there is no doubt that when you look at what Los Angeles put out there in terms of offensive production on Sunday against Buffalo, that is the vision. That is picture perfect. Matthew Stafford connecting with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp continuously. We see the number tonight for Stafford, 244.5, passing touchdowns prop at 1 and a hook. Brock Purdy, also a highly successful day on Sunday, more than 330 yards. George Kittle had the most receiving yards, but Jawan Jennings was the guy to hit pay dirt. San Francisco, of course, their season defined by injuries. No Brandon Ayuk. We'll talk about the running game and what San Francisco will have defensively in just a moment. But how do you compare these 2 QBs entering Thursday night?
Yeah, more talent, obviously, on Matthew Stafford's side. Better arm strength there, more, ingrained in the NFL culture because he does have an NFL championship here. But Brock Purdy's certainly going to get a lot of money next year, but that doesn't matter. It's about the here and now in this game. If you said, Donnie, give me one quarterback that you're probably trying to look at, go over his props here, and let you start with passing yards. It's probably going to be Brock Purdy's 258.5. And you said, wow, that's interesting. With those wide receivers and Matthew Stafford, didn't you see what they did last week against the Buffalo Bills? Yes. And I don't want to say that's an anomaly because when Matthew Stafford heats up, as I tweeted out, there's none better, man. It's perfection. It's pretty to watch. And he's got weapons on the outside. But now I look at saying, okay, Matthew Stafford has a legitimate, bona fide number 1 in the backfield, Kyren Williams, that he can lean on at times. And you understand this, Ben. Kyren Williams is going to probably get at least, even though it's a short week, 20 to 25 carries, maybe at a minimum tonight, to try to stabilize that ground game and get that play action passing underway against a decent defense here for the 49ers. But Brock Purdy on the other side, a lot more question marks on that running game. I understand Kyle Shanahan is a genius in the running game. Next man up, they can do damage because it wasn't as if like, oh no, Christian McCaffrey's not going to play this year. Jordan Mason looked like he had a legitimate chance if he stayed healthy to have the rushing title in the NFL because of how good they draw up the running game. So now you're down to possibly your 4th-string running back. You got to lean more on Brock Purdy, and you should, right? Like, he's your quarterback, your franchise guy, going to get a lot of money in the offseason. These are the games that you can't say, hey, let's lean on Kyle Juszczyk to get 6 or 7 carries when he barely gets any because we need some extra running game. I need Brock Purdy to shine tonight. So I look at those two price points, 244.5 and 258.5. I'm more likely to take Brock Purdy tonight over the 258.5 than I am Matthew Stafford over the 244.5.
Both of these quarterbacks have consistently gone over these numbers in the last month and a half or so. Stafford in 5 of the Rams' last 7, Purdy in 3 of the Niners' last 5. 325 and 2 touchdowns for Brock Purdy against Chicago. Both of the receiving touchdowns to Juwan Jennings. Matthew Stafford, he threw for nearly 300 on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. DRS, multiple passing touchdowns for Stafford without an interception in 4 consecutive games. If we think we are getting points tonight, I might look at that passing touchdowns prop for Stafford given the consistency. Now to some big running back news. Isaac Guerendo is planning to play for San Francisco. Of course, entering last week, both Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason placed on injured reserve. So far this week, Guerendo has been a limited participant at the limited number of practices for Thursday night, but ESPN's Adam Schefter saying Guerendo plans to play. No props out just yet. For Kyren Williams, you see the anytime touchdown priced on it at minus 150. He has scored in 10 of 13 games for the Rams this year, including multiple rushing scores a week ago against the Bills.
Yeah, his updated number here is also minus 145. And for a game that you look at with roughly 50 points, Ben, these are some pretty good numbers that you're getting. Minus 145 for Kyron. Patrick Taylor, minus 135 if he fills in for Guerendo, are listed with the same touchdown props here. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, plus 110, plus 125. We'll get them in just a little bit. But yes, the thing I always try to balance these games out with, if you're coming in with an injury, I don't care if you say you're healthy and ready to go. It only takes 1 or 2 carries to say, you know what, I'm not right, and you step out of the game and you lose your prop bet and your angle on that. So for my money, if you were betting it back, the only guy I could look at was Kyren Williams. But also, as I say that, there is opportunity for some really low numbers here, like guys like Kyle Juszczyk. And sometimes you don't get caught up in it, but he needs like basically 1 catch to probably hit his total, which I think is like 6.5 or 7.5 yards receiving. And you know Kyle Shannon every once in a while on the goal line, 3rd and 1, reverse out, hand it to the fullback. So maybe a sneaky prop could be Juszczyk. But from basically what I'm telling you guys, I'm not really looking from a San Francisco backfield perspective here. There's other guys like maybe Deebo Samuel could help out. Yeah, we'll check that out.
We'll talk those top targets in just a little bit. DRS, we've already kind of talked about the game. We will more on the other side. The one thing we didn't really get into is those pass catchers for tonight. Of course, for L.A., Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. On the other side for San Francisco, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, or maybe a Deebo Samuel sighting on this Thursday. Take it away.
Yeah, you know, I love to buy into those scenarios, Ben, because we're always looking at the X's and O's, how many catches you have, how many touchdowns you have, how many yards you have. But sometimes there's something to it where the wide receiver's like, I'm angry. The quarterback's like, I know I have to get you the football. The head coach goes like, boy, we'd love him to participate more. And you see the past 4 games, he's been obsolete in that offense. And this isn't one of those like, well, what do you want him to do? Ayuk's awesome. Kittle's awesome. Purdy's running with his legs. Christian McCaffrey's in the backfield. It's just not his time yet right now. No, it should be his time. Like, Juwan Jennings shouldn't be your number 1 wide receiver. It's supposed to be Deebo Samuel. Look at that paycheck. Look at the performance over the past couple of years. When does he step up? But the people are buying in, Ben, because Monday, Tuesday, this line was like 46.5 for receiving prop for Deebo Samuel. Now it's up to 49.5. And I teased it when we were talking about earlier. It's not even necessarily that passing prop, the receiving prop number. I might be looking into a rushing and receiving. If you're down to your 4th-string running back and Deebo's not getting the carries, I don't understand. I'm not talking about 6, 7 carries, but at least 3 or 4 of those. I got burned in that night game in Buffalo where it's like, this is the perfect Deebo weather game. He didn't even get a carry in that football game, Ben. So I don't know if I'm going to get burned again, but it feels like sooner than later, he should have a come-out performance, no?
Yeah, DRS, I completely agree. I mean, you have to get him incorporated. One of the reasons that you could argue over the last few years that it's not Brock Purdy as a game manager, but Brock Purdy taking advantage of all the talented assets that he has is because if McCaffrey goes down, all right, you still have Ayuk, Deebo, and George Kittle. All right, Brendan Ayuk is not there. Juwan Jennings has stepped up in a big way, but you would still expect, DRS, as this season has been defined for San Francisco by injuries, that if Deebo Samuel has been fully healthy, he's been banged up a time or two this season, he should be involved in the offense, and a big reason the offense is still highly productive. It has not been the case. We'll talk more Thursday night when Hour 3 starts. What an end to our second hour here on the Early Line on a Thursday. We welcome you to hour number 3, our third and final live right here on this Thursday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. One final hour to go, and we will preview a ton of Thursday night football. A huge divisional duel tonight in the NFC West between the in-state and familiar foes. The San Francisco 49ers hosting the Los Angeles Rams. Previews of Thursday night football. Prop perspective with TV Tom Vecchio in just a little bit as well. We'll go around the association now outside of the NBA Cup on this Thursday as well. DRS, so much to dive into here in this third and final hour on the Early Line.
It's great stuff. And also keep in mind when you're taking a look at, hey, there's not a lot of college football. We just previewed Army-Navy, which will be wonderful on Saturday. But you start a great NFL week tonight on a Thursday with a really key important game in the NFC West. And also keep in mind a full slate of games on a Sunday afternoon, something we haven't had for a long time. And then, Ben, we cap it with a dueling doubleheader on Monday Night Football. No, those games look great. No, they don't. But we still have exciting times in football. And also, as you pointed out, next weekend, I mean, it might as well be a holiday weekend at this point. College football playoff Friday night, Saturday, NFL games Thursday, right into Sunday. Fantastic stuff on the way out. So even though football season is on the way out, it's going to go on the way out with a bang, and I love it.
NFL games on Saturday as well next weekend, DRS.
Is that next week?
We've got so much.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me the games.
They're not calling in the PF.
What are the games? Give me the game. We know the games. What are they?
We certainly know the games. I'll track them down for you right now.
Doesn't sound like you know, though.
Here we go. We'll get it. Saturday, the Texans at the Chiefs, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, NBC. The Steelers at the Ravens, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox to go up right against our triple header of college football playoff on campus
it sounds
games.
Like there's no CFT next
good.
Week. Well, I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing now. Sounds like there's no CFT.
They're not
next
calling
week.
in the heavy hitters for PFT. They got me talking NFL coverage on Pro Football Today with an additional hour leading up to the 1 p.m. start in Kansas City. How about that?
Wait, what? Explain yourself. What do you mean?
So we're doing our normal college football today pregame show. 9 to noon. 9 to noon next Saturday.
Yep.
Preview of the college football playoff. Games start at noon Eastern Time. And then we are doing an additional hour of pregame coverage where you take off the C, you add in a P. It's Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi, Ben Stevens. They say if ratings go through the roof, we might have to reevaluate a few things for Sunday.
Yeah, it sounds like I have to run a couple burners at that show on Saturday and say, what's going on here? We're throwing off the mojo. This doesn't look right. This guy doesn't know anything about pro football. How's he talking about at this point? I think there's going to be a couple guys like Joe Smith, X1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with just a little eggshell out there. Remember that? By the way, Twitter, remember we used to have the eggshells out there? They still have those or no? Not anymore. Are they?
I think it's just like a blank. It's like a gray outline of a person.
Yeah.
I do miss the eggshells, though.
Yeah,
different times.
To get back
all
to
right, anyway, let's hear from the people as we get ready for Thursday night football in the start of Week 15. Rams, Niners tonight in Santa Clara. San Francisco, 3-point home favorite. A total, despite it being a short week, is lofty, standing currently at 49.5. What is the best bet for Thursday night football in Northern California? You tell us. It's time for Fade the Public. Now, if we are into fading the public, some interesting results. What is the best bet for Thursday night football at SportsGrid on Twitter? Is it the Niners as the field goal favorite? The Rams catching points in this matchup over that high total of 49.5, or do we stay under on a short week? The overwhelming majority of the public, DRS, backing the Rams as the underdog, getting that full and flat number of a field goal. 44% of the vote, LA as the underdog tonight in Santa Clara.
And also, this is big with the line itself, too, right? I think this might have been a little bit different if that was the 49ers at minus 2.5 as opposed to 3. So take some of that in. And also, outlets out there, let's just take a look at some of the live numbers. FanDuel Sportsbook, minus 3, minus 105. Other places, maybe minus 2.5. So those numbers might be out there in the field, but that is a key number in a close divisional game on a Thursday night that will play into it. So I see that plus 3, 44% right now. Currently, I understand that, but I actually went with the 49ers. Just again, simplicity. If I think the 49ers are going to win, I'll take them to win by the 3 points and or by margin. The one interesting part is we usually have a decisive cutoff on some of these totals. 49.5 is a lot of points, but there are weapons on both sides. But look at the splits. 19% of the public voting for the over, under at 15.1%. So a lot of people taking into notion short work week, banged up teams, so much importance on these games that we look at, because sometimes you can't really equate sports, but you can if that makes sense. The NBA Cup. You see how important those games are, and the NBA teams are taking them seriously, Ben. Yeah. We talked about it. One game, 91-90. The other one, 108-100. Well under the total in both of those because of the importance where the defense gets ratcheted up. There is no tomorrow for the 49ers if they lose. They're going to want to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's on offense, moving the football, but maybe not saying now's the time to run the double reverse pass to Deebo Samuel. Let's just keep it a little bit simple. So I do agree with the public, slightly going towards the over because I do think there's points, but also at the same time, if you voted for the under, I can see it as well.
If you are playing the contrarian role tonight, you think the 49ers cover as a favorite at home, or at least they are the right side to back. That flat number of 3 DRS could be a push on either side, depending on what the public decides to do. And you are thinking under 49.5. It was 48.5 earlier in the week. It is up by a point. If you are taking the trend perspective of this game, it actually makes sense to look at points as well. We just saw the Rams playing the highest scoring game of the season, 86 combined, where it seemed that neither LA's defense nor LA's offense could stop what they were doing. For the defense, that was get a stop. For the Rams, it was scoring, with Matthew Stafford throwing it across the yard to Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and then Kyron Williams adding in multiple rushing scores as well. San Francisco snapping a 3-game slide, putting up 38 points, blowing out the Bears 38-13. The Niners have been booked as a favorite in every game but 2 since the start of last year. Donnie, all 6 wins outright for San Fran this year as the favorite side. They have covered in 5 of 6. In all 5 covers, a game has gone over. San Francisco has scored at least 30 points. When the Rams have won outright as an underdog, 7 games as a dog this year for Los Angeles, 3 outright wins. The only 3 covers for the Rams as a dog as well. All 3 outright victories and thus covers, a total to the over as well. For me, it is hard to bet the under tonight. But if I am fading the idea of a short week in offensive production, then I just stay away. There are certain other ways I would approach scoring. Those guys to hit pay dirt and the quarterbacks to throw for touchdowns. Matthew Stafford over a passing touchdown and a half would be an angle I would look.
Yeah, I think both of the quarterbacks do have success. On the Monday Night Football game, we thought we'd get a lot of points there in the Dome because you're not worried in December about rainy conditions or cold conditions. You do have some elements in the forecast tonight in the 49ers home ballpark here. Rain, 55 to 56% precipitation percentage. So it's probably going to happen. But here's the issue, or non-issue, I should say. It's going to be in the mid-50s, which is not cold. And also, windy conditions that might pop up, not going to be there tonight. Very tame. Yeah. So don't get scared off by, hey, look, it's drizzling out there. You know how that turns out. It's the rain and the cold that you probably worry about as the combination. I don't think we have too many issues tonight if it is a drizzle or a slight rain in the forecast.
And we will talk injury availability for this short week Thursday game later on in this third and final hour. Tonight starts week number 15 of this 2024 National Football League regular season. Just 4 weeks remain in the regular season. Every game for a team in the hunt for the postseason has that added on significance. In DRS, that starts tonight with a huge divisional duel within the NFC West between the Rams and the 49ers, but it continues on Sunday. Maybe some not in division or even in the same conference, but monumental matchups in that marquee window starting at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time, including a Game of the Year potential Game of the Year 5, the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills. on Sunday in the Motor City. You see the numbers there. We expect this game to be incredible. Low spread between the two, but a very high total. 2.5 points now, once again, in favor of the Lions. Over under DRS might be our highest of this season if it holds at 54.5. What do you expect for this matchup between two Super Bowl frontrunners in the Motor City on Sunday?
Expect a great game with a lot of playoff implications in both conferences here. Now, also, we just saw the Buffalo Bills go on the road and lose a tough one in a high-scoring battle in a dome against the Los Angeles Rams. So where's this game going to be played? Not in Buffalo in the snow, but in a dome. So expectations should be high that scoring, shouldn't be at a premium. We should get a lot of it at that point, and rightfully so at 54.5. But it is interesting, Ben, doing the show yesterday and most of the week, 1.5. Steam hit that line overnight. We now see 2.5. So I'm interested to see where that is by game time. But again, when you're just breaking the game down, you know my affinity for Detroit. I think they're the best team in the NFL, therefore technically in the NFL. I do think they win this game, but sometimes when you take a look at, systems and games and how it works, like if the Buffalo Bills, as dumb as this sounds, would have went on the road last week and knocked off the Rams, like, ooh, this could be a letdown spot for Buffalo because they got that all-important win, and now if they lose this game and it's still in the NFC, it's not that big a deal. You could still chase down Kansas City. Well, now you lost that game on the road. You come into this game and lose 2 in a row, and now it's not just, hey, Ben, let's chase down the Kansas City Chiefs. It's, oh, no, we're the 3rd seed now possibly because right around the corner now is the Pittsburgh Steelers if they can pull out a victory over the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. So the ramifications are big, and I don't think we see 3 in this game as a line. But if I like Detroit and like them all year, you're just asking them to win a home football game, and I think they do that.
54.5 is a very lofty number. It will be the 7th game this season that Detroit has played with a total of 50-plus. In the previous 6, they had gone under in 4 of them, but they did go over, of course, last week on a Thursday in a high-scoring game against Green Bay. For Detroit, DRS, I want to see how healthy the defense looks by the time we reach Sunday. Aleem McNeil, who exited the second half against Green Bay in concussion protocol with the extended time, a full participant at practice earlier this week. Some other guys, though, like Josh Paschal, limited participant. The Lions have been dealing with a litany of injury issues on that side of the football, and we have seen how historically good the Buffalo Bills offense and Josh Allen has looked the last few weeks. You mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-win football team. Philadelphia, 11-win football team. In the race, DRS, of playoff positioning in either conference, 2 huge interconference matchups on Sunday afternoon. This one in state, in the Commonwealth, the Keystone clash in Philadelphia between the Eagles and the Steelers. Philly at home, 5.5-point favorite. Total stands at just 42 and a hook. Donnie, that seems like a rather large spread in favor of the Birds. Is it too big?
I don't think it is because I think the Eagles are the better team in the matchups in the Eagles' favor. Also, keep in mind the Eagles are at home. But also, George Pickens not at wide receiver. That is a big miss because the Eagles have one of the better young secondaries in football. Now you're relying on guys like Mike Williams still trying to ingrain himself over there. Maybe more on Pat Freiermuth over the middle and a running game in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, which might be center stage. But I got to tell you, FanDuel opened up at the beginning of the week, Ben, at 44.5 as a total in this game. It's dropped to 42.5. I think both of these offenses will be able to move the football this weekend, and I think there's a legitimate chance they can take that down. Cold conditions, yes, about 40 at kickoff, no rain in the forecast, and last week you did see some field goal struggles with Jake Elliott. Shouldn't have that this week. 5 mile an hour or less with windy conditions, so why not? Two, what we think are 2 really good field goal kickers and 2 offenses that should be able to move. Why can't they both approach 20 points and get that total? I think I might be total hunting more than side hunting in this football game.
2 top 5 scoring defenses. Maybe that's why we expect a lower scoring game. But in 6 of the 7 starts that Russell Wilson has made for Pittsburgh, the Steelers have played to the over. Philly on a 9-game win streak. They have gone under in 6 of those 9 wins. Prop perspective for Thursday with TV Tom next. We welcome you back to this Thursday live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. It is now time for the prop perspective for the game that begins Week 15 in the NFL. Tonight in Santa Clara, it's the 49ers and the Rams, and thus it is TV Tom Vecchio live right here on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid. Vecchio, what a pleasure it was to finally, after 3.5 years of being colleagues in some form or another, to meet each other in person at the illustrious SportsGrid holiday party on Tuesday night. What a time, Vecchio. What an absolute time.
It was absolutely fantastic to meet you along with everybody else. Great time, like you said. Yeah, 3.5 years in the making. And I think we are transitioning to the perfect game to come off a great party into a great game for Thursday Night Football. Let's roll.
I think that means that I'll go. All right, I will go because
that was really good, Tom.
That
was really good.
That was really good, Tom. Vecchio, very solid, very well done. It sets us up perfectly for success. So let's dive right into it. What the numbers are telling you, Vecchio, about how tonight's game will play out between the 49ers and the Rams. San Francisco, 3-point home favorite. That flat number of 3 could turn out to be very, very key. Total slightly up to 49.5 for a short week Thursday night football game with monumental implications for that divisional championship race in the NFC West. So, Vecchio, spread, total, what are you expecting for Thursday night football?
Obviously expecting a close game, as that spread would indicate. I'm on the Rams. I'm also on the under today. A lot of injury questions at, surprise for the 49ers time and time again this year. Missing some key offensive linemen. Isaac Guerendo is apparently good to go. I have some severe doubts about his actual availability tonight. And, realistically, the Rams, they're cruising right now, right? Like they are building with some momentum, and the lack of consistency plus some of the storylines that we have going from the 49ers on offense. I got to be on the Rams on this side in a game ending, let's call it 24-20. Like, I think we are going to be right at that number. I will, again, shade on the under. And if it starts off slow, which I won't be surprised for these two teams, I'm going to be looking to get a middle, over 40, over 41.5, and still be on that under 49.5 as well.
Yeah, short work week this week. We always see it play out. Major playoff implications, specifically there in the NFC West. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? We'll find out, certainly. A little bit of rain in the forecast tonight, Tom. No real windy conditions, and it's not going to be cold weather. But let's take a look at some of those quarterback props. Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford. Last week, Brock Purdy woke up in that offense, very efficient, throws for over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. He's listed at 258.5 with his passing prop for Brock Purdy, and Matthew Stafford at 244.5. And then both of these guys juiced over 1.5 touchdown passes. Purdy minus 120 and Stafford minus 128. Are you leaning either way to one of these quarterbacks, Tom?
I'm leaning on Purdy, and it's because I have my doubts about Isaac Guerendo. Like, we're getting reports from Schefter that Guerendo plans to play. He's going to play. Like, whatever we get leading up to game time. And ultimately, if he's out, it's going to be Patrick Taylor and Keyshawn Vaughn in the backfield. Like, what are we dealing with? Like, what are the 3 outcomes, essentially, at least in my mind? Guerendo's good to go. He sees 18 carries for 100-plus yards. Or he's actually not good to go. Or he's actually a decoy out there. Or he goes out there and he actually ends up getting hurt and he can't return. So what does that mean? That means that Purdy has to do more. Like, how much do they really want to be trusting a 4th or 5th string running back with their season, like, not mathematically on the line, but they're approaching that point? So I just want to trust Purdy, who, like you said, really solid last week. So I don't mind the yards for Purdy, but I actually think the attempts are best, because we're going to have to see them move the ball and get that offense going. Like, a 4th or 5th string running back when they're missing 2 offensive linemen, give me Purdy time and time again.
So, Vecchio, you mentioned on the one side for Isaac Guerendo, limited participant at practice this week in the very limited practices that San Francisco can even hold on a short week. But ESPN's Adam Schefter earlier this morning saying that Guerendo plans to play. What exactly that means, how effective can he be, that remains to be seen. Still his props off the board. Let's go to LA's running back in Kyren Williams. 29 carries, 87 yards, 2 rushing scores on Sunday against Buffalo. First 5 games of the year, Kyren Williams hit pay dirt. Next 4 games, did not score. Now has scored in 3 consecutive for LA. How do you expect the Rams on this short week to utilize Kyren Williams tonight against the 49ers?
He should be, of course, one of those main options. And realistically, when it comes to the Rams offense between Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp, essentially on a week-to-week basis, I expect 2 of the 3 to have big games. Like 2 of the 3 to have over on their yards, 2 of the 3 to hit their touchdown props, wherever it might be. And finding out those 2, I think, is like the most important thing when it comes to evaluating the Rams offense. So I certainly like Kyren Williams today. Obviously, I'm not laying minus 150 on a touchdown. I'll maybe work him into an SGP, whatever it might be. But Kyren Williams and then Cooper Kupp's going to be number 2 for me today. So I would actually lean towards over 17.5 or 17 rushing attempts for Kyren Williams. That's where I would prefer to be going, especially if there's a little bit of rain. They do get out in front if the 49ers aren't able to run the ball. I would expect Kyren Williams to be number 1 option. And while Puka Nacua is great, I actually prefer the yardage with Cooper Kupp, which we can get to in a few minutes here.
Yeah, let's take a look at those wide receivers, because the pass catcher is certainly going to be instrumental. And a lot of question marks here on who's that official number 1 now for the 49ers. Is it now Juwan Jennings, who is listed at 68.5? You take a look at the Rams here. You would have thought Cooper Kupp would always be the number 1 as long as he's on the team. That's no longer the case. Puka Nacua has been nothing short of spectacular, Tom. He's listed at 88.5 receiving yards tonight to Cooper Kupp's 62.5. And also, the Deebo Samuel scenarios tonight. I want the ball more. We got to get to the football more. Does he score touchdowns? Does he run the football, Tom? Does he catch passes? Give us some looks here from these receiving props.
So for the Rams, absolutely love Kupp over 62.5. He didn't play against the 49ers last year, but historically, Kupp has absolutely torched the 49ers dating back to 2022 and 2021. He went for 122 yards, 79 yards, 122 yards again, and 118. So give me Kupp over 62.5. I don't mind him alting him to 70 plus as well. On the Deebo side, love Deebo for a TD. We'll play the squeaky wheel narrative. I love that. Combined with the Isaac Guerrero, question mark, it is what it is. Pat Taylor could be in there, Keyshawn Vaughn, Israel Abanikanda could be seeing some carries. I will take Deebo coming out of the backfield potentially for a rushing plus receiving. I do like his touchdown prop at plus 145. But George Kittle, I think, is the answer for the 49ers. If they have this inefficiency running the ball, George Kittle is that safety net for Brock Purdy, and he doesn't have to be that downfield option. He is the moving the chains. Let's pick up some first downs. Let's get this offense moving option. So I love Kupp. I really like the Deebo TD, but I think the yards for Kittle are actually the safest, especially if I'm personally not expecting Guerrero to be a full go tonight.
Yeah, Vecchio, as you alluded to, Puka Nacua has been that top target for Matthew Stafford when both guys have been on the field. We were wondering if both guys were healthy, playing alongside each other, who would be that number 1. Cooper Kupp has still been able to get his. We saw the vision of the Rams offense last week, of course, against the Buffalo Bills. I do want to go back to Deebo Samuel, a guy that has been banged up at times this year and maybe is not 100% fully healthy with how ineffective he has been. But Tom, he's played in 12 games. He has 2 total touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. Why is tonight different? Why is Deebo Samuel going to score against this LA defense?
We can factor in, like I said, the Guerrero health, the lack of consistency from their offense overall. But when push comes to shove, Deebo is a great option to have the ball in. I would say that Juwan Jennings is a better traditional route runner, right? From an actual wide receiver standpoint. But getting Deebo the ball is important when, again, their season is approaching being on the line. They need to focus on getting him the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him have 4, 5, 6 carries coming out of the backfield, another 4 or 5 receptions, getting him close to 10, 11 total touches. So the rushing plus receiving and just the utilization he has in the offense, as I've always said, the bubble screens, the jet sweeps, whatever it might be, getting Deebo the ball is a good thing for the 49ers offense, and they need that production on offense today.
Make sure you see the Tom's top props right there. Brock Purdy over 30.5 attempts. Cooper Kupp over his receiving yardage number. And Deebo Samuel to hit Pater. He has not since week number 6 of this season, but the total is 49.5 tonight, so offense expected. TV Tom, as always, we appreciate the time. We continue our Thursday Night Football breakdown next. We continue our Thursday Night Football preview here to enter Week 15. It starts tonight in Santa Clara. On this Thursday on the early line, it's the 49ers, it's the Rams. We'll start with the game, DRS, and then we'll get to its importance on this short week Thursday in just a moment. Full field goal number in favor of San Francisco, 3-point home favorite. Total for a short week at 49.5. Not like last week when both the Packers and the Lions had a full week of preparation after playing on Thanksgiving. This is a short week. Both teams played on Sunday afternoon in that later window. San Francisco easily dispatching the Chicago Bears. Not as easy for the Rams in a wild back and forth and high-scoring game, but a critical win for Los Angeles against Buffalo at home on Sunday. 3-point spread. 49.5 is that number. How does DRS see Thursday night playing out?
Yeah, both had nice wins last week, a little bit different. Obviously, the 49ers in a blowout victory didn't have to use all that gas in the second half when the Rams were in one of those back and forth games against the Buffalo Bills, which was so much fun to watch. But there are big implications, and I always lean towards the home team on Thursday night. But if we were talking to Doc right now, he'd probably be like, yo, crazy? Look at all the banged-up injuries for the 49ers going up against the Rams here. But still, some of those keys are in place where I just look to and say, Kyle Shanahan at home, Brock Purdy waking up last week, so many different weapons that they can use, and also the plug-and-play mentality at the running back position. That's the way I look. But we've talked about it quite a bit this morning. 2.5s and 3s, that is a big deal here. So you're looking at if you are taking the Rams, you figure they probably have to get beat by a touchdown or more for you not to cover here. Now, granted, yes, you come in by 4, 5, or 6 points, but you get the gist of that. The 49.5s here with a little bit of rain in the forecast on a short week here, we're expecting points, and we should get those. But we've seen it many times. Two teams that know each other, and a game that's of the utmost importance between both of these teams with a little bit of rain in the forecast might be enough to send that south. Because we're not talking, Ben, 39.5, 41.5. 49.5, you're expecting teams to get both into the mid-20s here to have a legitimate chance at that. So for me, I'm still going to lean towards the 49ers on Thursday Night Football since they're at home. And yes, the line currently right now at FanDuel is 3. I'll go that direction. Slightly and also towards the over. But again, the props are more of the perspective tonight. However, I would be shocked if we have a low-scoring game. When I say low-scoring, Ben, 21-17. Yeah. I think we're going to be right up against that number. So, therefore, theoretically, thinking we get the over.
Yeah, absolutely. So 49.5, now 7 touchdowns, right? If you get to 7 touchdowns, you still could be under by the hook if that is all the scoring that we see. It is a lofty expectation for a short week. No, the Rams are not traveling cross-country or even out of state, but it's a big turnaround for a team that just outdueled the Buffalo Bills at home in a game that featured 86 combined points. But maybe you watched last week and you said the Rams couldn't stop a nosebleed. The Bills only lost that game because they never got the football back and burned a bad time out late. I do understand it. In fact, DRS, from the trend perspective, both teams kind of sitting where they are from that spread should expect points tonight. San Francisco, a 6-7 football team. Disappointing, of course, based on preseason expectation, but have won outright in all their 6 wins as a favorite. They have covered in 5 of 6. In all 5 covers, the Niners have scored at least 30 points. Games total has gone over. The Rams, an underdog 7 times this season. They are both 3 and 4 straight up and against the spread, meaning when they cover as a dog, they have won outright this year. And that game has gone over in all 3 outright victories for Los Angeles. You can understand the expectation of offense. Now let's get into the prop perspective and let's compare those quarterbacks. You said earlier on you would look first at the yardage for Brock Purdy if you were going to bet the QBs tonight. Does that remain your favorite bet?
It does remain my favorite bet because, can Stafford get the 244? Of course he is. He's a great wide receiver. His great wide receivers, and he's a great quarterback. But I just see that, I don't know if we're leaning on the ground game as much as we possibly should for San Francisco with some unknown products in the backfield, which means that's going to be a lot more opportunities for Brock Purdy. Maybe his legs here, Ben. You take a look at his prop number on like 20.5 rushing yards for the quarterback, which could be in play. Specifically, it's a little bit rainy. You make a couple moves here, get out of the pocket. You can get some of those yardage yourself. But I do expect Brock Purdy to be able to light up that secondary that so many teams have done for the Rams. One thing we like about the Rams is they have a couple young athletic defensive linemen to get after the pass rush, but that secondary is susceptible here. So yes, Brock Purdy over 1.5 touchdown passes and Brock Purdy over 258.5. I do think make a good match here for him tonight.
You know what is really interesting as well, DRS? The only rushing yards prop that is available for Thursday night with the questions around Isaac Guerendo for San Francisco is Brock Purdy at 20, now 18.5, dropping just a little bit. It was 20.5 earlier today. It's still a number, though, that Brock Purdy has only gone over 3 times in their last 5 games. It's not like he's consistently over that price. But anytime Josh Allen broke contain on Sunday, he was picking up 18.5 yards in one single run. Now, as we look at the running backs, Kyren Williams is the only guy with a prop out. Isaac Guerendo, again, is expecting to play, plans to play. We'll see if he does. Kyron Williams has scored in 9 of 13 games for the Rams this year. Scored in 5 straight to start the season. Then did not score in 4 in a row. Now has scored in 3 straight. But of course, tonight, you have to talk to pass catchers when you look at Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp for LA, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, and perhaps even Deebo Samuel, DRS, for San Francisco.
Yeah, it's fun to watch this one play out because, again, Juwan Jennings now 69.5. It's like, where did we get to this point? But he is the true number one wide receiver in target share and also at actually making a difference in games. But it is one of those where you say, and Tom came on, he might be right on this one. George Kittle, 59.5. What's a bad game tonight for Kittle? He gets into the mid-40s. You're always going to be around that number with legitimate chances you saw last week for him to have a really good game. But the question marks always go around Deebo, that 49.5. Like, once you get some more of the numbers a little bit later, the rushing and receiving numbers come into it. How many carries is Deebo going to get? Also, how many receptions is Deebo going to get? He is going to be a focal point for me, just trying to figure out that recipe that's going to work, where is it right to say he doesn't really run the football anymore, but tonight with running backs down, he's going to get that football in a must-win game. And also keep in mind, if you don't want to wear your guys out, this isn't the game not to do it. You lose. There is no tomorrow for San Francisco. So everybody should be on the table. But again, back to the rushing props for Purdy, down and banged up a little bit on the offensive line. Good pass rush coming in, some rainy conditions. Why not over the 18.5 for him as well? So let's go.
DRS, we will see you next week. Have fun on the money line. Have fun tonight. More on the early line up next.